Before, we would like to also go ahead and call our first speaker of the day, David Escobar. Before we invite him here, I just want to read David Escobar is a simulation technician, a fellow of us, and he's very well-known among us its peers. He's the director of Level 3 Healthcare for simulation. So he has over 10 years of experience in simulation and emergency medical technicians. So he has created a lot of videos and information videos on his LinkedIn page, and that you can all, I'm sure, familiar and have seen. So I'd like to welcome David Escobar. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to kick off this talk. First off, let's thank SimGHOSTS one more time and our host. Another great conference, 2018. So for those that don't know me, my name is David Escobar, and I'm the Director of Healthcare Simulation with Level 3 Healthcare, who is, of course, your platinum sponsor for SimGHOSTS 2018. We're going to have some fun this conference, as well as have the baseball game tonight, so I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that today. So my talk today will have a little bit of audience participation. I'm not going to ask anybody to come up, so don't worry. I'm not going to call on anyone. I will not be providing any candy, unfortunately, but I will ask you guys to raise your hands just to kind of show where some of the questions that I have for you guys. So for first, how many of you guys are first-time attendees? Wow. Wow. That is great. How many of you guys are repeat attendees? All right, good, good. How many of you guys are not sure where you're at right now, but you are here? All right, there we go. All right, everybody's awake now. Perfect. All right, so I sat out of the audience where you guys are at right now back in 2013 when I first attended my SimGHOSTS. Brand new, didn't know really what I was doing, and now fast forward 5 exciting years later, I'm actually up here now for being able to provide a keynote speech for you guys. So I'm really excited to be here. When I was given the opportunity, I look forward to it. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I've been looking forward to SimGHOSTS since SimGHOSTS 2017. So I've been looking forward to it, and of course being up here is exciting for me to be able to talk to you guys for the next 30 minutes or so. So I want to kind of start off about where I come from and my background. So back in 2005, like most 20-year-olds at the time, I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I kind of, worked some odd jobs, retail, sales, security, but I really didn't know the direction I wanted to take. So I did, went out there and took a look around. I knew I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help, but I just didn't know where to get started. So something happened back in 2005 that kind of put me on my current career path that I'm at now. How many of you guys remember Hurricane Katrina? Okay, anybody from Mississippi, Louisiana, New Orleans? Okay, so that came out in August of 2005, and right then I knew that I wanted to help. So I went out, visited my local Red Cross chapter, volunteered to go, and I got dispatched to go over to Gulfport, Mississippi. So when I was there, I saw how much devastation and destruction that was caused and all the people that were in need of help. And I always came across a lot of people that needed medical help. And unfortunately at the time, I had no prior experience in medical, or I had no healthcare training. So really the only thing I could do was provide some bandages, call for some help, or really just hopefully somebody would come out and help them out. I really didn't have any opportunity or the resources to care for them. So I went out there and I really did not know what to expect. So just like what was on the news, it was the largest natural disaster in the U.S. at the time. We were kind of making this up as we went. And for me, it was a really eye-opening experience just to see all the EMTs out there, the paramedics that were helping. And it was during that time that I realized that's what I wanted to do. When I went home, I wanted to become an EMT. I saw what they were doing. I was excited. I saw the hands-on. And it really moved me to now move into my healthcare field. But something happened that changed kind of the course of where I was going there. I was originally slated and signed a contract to work for the Red Cross for an additional 2 years, helping rebuild the local community. Unfortunately, in December of that year, my family experienced a tragic loss. My younger brother, Daniel, who was 17 at the time, was driving with a friend that was drunk, and he wasn't the driver, but his friend decided to drink and drive that night, and he killed my brother and the passenger in that vehicle. So I was over in Mississippi when I got the call, and I came back home. Sorry. So after my family's loss, I came back and I set back on my motion to become an EMT. So I found a local EMT program and started to work at night while going during the day to Starbucks and working there. After I completed my EMT course, I went to work for an ambulance company in Los Angeles County, working 911 for about a year, responding to all types of calls. Anybody familiar with Pomona, California? Other than the news? So it's a great city if you would like to, a lot of experience, especially in 911. So I stayed pretty busy responding to just about any kind of type of call you can imagine in that city. There was no short of getting trauma experience every night. So after about doing that for a year, I moved into the Pomona Valley Emergency Room to work as an emergency department technician because, you know, in our healthcare we love titles, so my title changed many times throughout the years. So I worked there for 6 years, working nights on the ER shift. And again, there I got the chance to see just about anything that was going on. You know, we had drunks one nights, we had cardiac arrests, we had shootings, or I just spent the nights, you know, transporting patients upstairs to med-surg, and I did my time there. So I'm an adrenaline junkie, so for me, ER excited me. You know, being able to come in there, never knowing what I was going to see or do every night. I like that. I like that kind of that stress that comes with it. If anybody works in ER docs or ER staff, you guys kind of know it's a special breed that works the ER. So as the years went on, I was given more and more responsibility. I took over scheduling for 40 EMTs in our center or in our department, and I started handling the inventory and managing the equipment for the entire ER department. One day I was approached by our education department and asked if I would be interested in a new position, working in healthcare simulation for the hospital. I remember being told very little about this position. Isn't that how it always is for us? No? You want to work in healthcare simulation? Yeah. You want to work with computers? Yeah. What do I do? We'll figure that out. So it's kind of the same story that I think most of us have been through in this room. All I knew at the time that I would work involving training staff, working with computers, and programming. I know we use that term a lot of programming. And it would be very hands-on. Since the simulation position was new and the program was new to the hospital, we would be building this program from scratch. At the time, like I said, I really had no idea what simulation meant. You know, up to that point, I went to EMT school. We had a full-body mannequin that just laid there, didn't do anything. Anytime I needed to figure out if I had vital signs, I had to turn and ask my instructor. If I needed to know the patient was breathing, I had to turn and ask an instructor. It really just filled the role of being there. So my simulation training was very limited when I started my position. How many of you guys were in that same boat? All right. How many do not want to admit that you're in that same boat? All right. So I remember thinking how I would adapt to this new position. Where would I go to get training? Am I even qualified to run a simulation? I had a lot of questions, but like most people, I found very few answers at the time. I started touring a lot of my local centers, and I came across an organization that was called SimGHOSTS, where we are now. So, and they told me about it, and that it was specifically for sim techs and people in similar jobs as I was in at the time. So I submitted my request. Luckily, I was approved, and I got to attend SimGHOSTS back in 2013, which for that year was held in San Antonio. How many of you were at that one? Man, it was hot. So, all right, perfect. So attending the SimGHOSTS conference provided me with a new perspective on our simulation community. It was huge. There's dozens of vendors, specialized equipment, and techs with all kinds of backgrounds. There were classes for beginners to advanced. This wasn't just some job I decided to take. I really felt that I found my career path moving forward. I continued to work at Pomona Valley Hospital for an additional year. Then I took a position working at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center for a little over 3 years. Now, at Cedars is where I really found the opportunity to grow professionally. I was able to take my CHSOS exam. How many have their CHSOS? Perfect. So how many are going to be taking their CHSOS? All right. So one of the also things that I do is I sit on the panel that not only reviews the CHSOS applicants, but I work with SSH to write the exam questions. So if you do not like the exam, I really don't want to hear about it. I'm just kidding. We work really hard to make sure that exam is practical and is relevant to this community. So I'm excited to see more and more people get that certification as the time goes on. So worked at Cedars-Sinai. I had the opportunity to get hands-on with 3D printing. Took my SimGHOSTS. We're a very busy center at the time. We were seeing about 2,000 participants through a month. We went through, worked on the process to get our accreditation with SSH. We started working with MOCA and started having our first MOCA programs there before I left. And then during my time, I came across a company called Level 3 Healthcare. Now, I was already a customer of theirs for several years. As Cedars-Sinai, they have done the integration there. So I really got to see the company from another side and another perspective as being a customer, for which for me is very important, that service after support. You know, I want to make sure that after that sale is complete, when I have a problem, when there's a hot seat and that something's going on, I want to be able to pick up that phone and call. And I found that with Level 3 Healthcare. So I joined the company back in January 2017, which was only a year and a half ago. Seems a little bit longer, in a good way. But in the 18 months that I've been there, I've moved up from being hired on as a subject matter expert to now being the director of healthcare simulation for the entire North American division. So I am very excited that I have been able to grow, coming from a background, and that kind of brings me into the topic and what this presentation is called, is more than just a sim tech. So why talk about my background? Like most of you, I did not just start off being a sim tech. I didn't go to an associate's degree. I just didn't apply one day with no prior experience. We all come from different backgrounds, just like everybody in this room. Doesn't matter if it's IT, AV, healthcare, or other. You know, I come across a lot of sim techs, sim specialists with lots of different backgrounds. We all come from our different backgrounds, and that's what really makes this group in this room very unique. We all bring different things to the table, and I think that's what's really important about healthcare simulation, is that we're very unique. We bring all of our different backgrounds, but we're all here for the same goal, which is all to help, improve patient care and help our organization succeed, right? Right, perfect. So much discussion has been focused on the ideal background of a sim tech. How many of you guys have been in those discussions? Ever get a little heated? Yeah, so there's a lot of discussion, but I think we tend to, so much of this discussion is to focus on the ideal background that we tend to forget all of us are going to be different. What's that saying in sim? You've been in one sim center? You've been in one sim center? We have job descriptions that are customized for every organization. It changes because the needs change at every place. So I'm not a big fan of, putting a stamp on an ideal background or that sim tech will always be this. We all come with our different strengths and weaknesses. And that's what I feel makes our community very unique. How many of you guys are from a nursing program? Okay. Medical school? Good. EMS? Hospital? How about other? Something I did not, look at that. I got to add some more to my speech because I didn't have you guys in there. And the programs that are utilizing simulation are continuing to grow. Any of the ones that raised their hand for other, are you guys from veterinarian? How about high school? Okay, we got some. It's really exciting because in the last year, I'm starting to come across more and more, not only high school programs, but veterinarian. The simulation, we're starting even younger now, which for me, that's exciting. I really wish I had the opportunity to learn about healthcare back when I was in high school. I don't know if I would have been paying attention, but at least I would have had the opportunity to attend and learn more about healthcare. Maybe got started a little bit earlier on. So this brings me to the title of my talk, More Than Just a Sim Tech, an Open Opportunity. How many of you guys have ever thought, I'm just a sim tech? Okay. I'll raise the hand for everybody else. How many have you guys been told you are just a sim tech? Okay, that's more like it. I know I have on a few occasions. Some of you might think that you're just a sim tech because you want more out of your job. Maybe there are few or no opportunities for advancement. Or maybe the pay is not on par with what you feel your background is and what you should be paying. Or maybe it's just because you don't feel your role is important. Now, first off, I don't like the title of tech. The word tech implies in most settings that you have a single job or you do a single task. And at some organizations, your pay could be significantly less than what somebody in the same role just because they have specialists in the title. We have started to see the community move more away from using the title of SimTech and start using the title of Operations Specialist. My previous position was Clinical Simulation Specialist, or some other combination of those titles. From experience, we all know as a SimTech, we do not only complete one job in the simulation center, right? We're doing multiple jobs. Educating the community is half the battle. Letting others know what our jobs really consist of will not only help improve our job titles, but pay and even future opportunities. Most of you already work in educating the community through posts, blogs, and videos. I saw a great video recently on Facebook. It was just a very simple one that somebody put up, but it was because they got a simple task of emptying the bed. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, if you're part of the couple of Facebook groups that focus just on the simulation technicians part. But it was this great video just showing that this, the sim tech was asked to empty the beds in a ward-style room. And he filmed from a distance, kind of an outside view of what really goes on with moving that. Most people think, okay, you got to go empty the bed. Okay, you should be done in 5 minutes. Why aren't you done in 5 minutes? This should have been done. I could have done everything else in that time as well. So what goes into it? We all know it's emptying the bed. But before we do that, what happens when we take that gown off, the mannequin's dirty? We got to clean the mannequin. What if there's an ongoing technical issue we need to address? We're going to do it then. What if something's broken? We need to address it then. What if the linens need to be changed? And I can go on and on and on about what goes into that. So I thought that post, even though there was no audio, it was very powerful, just simply educating the community about what goes into this task. And that goes back to just educating and making sure that we spread the word about what we're really doing on a day-to-day basis. Sorry, I lost my place. That's my one sorry for the presentation. So I'm here to say we are more than just a sim tech. Working as a sim tech, we find our position requires us to fill multiple roles. That other duties as assigned that's always on the bottom of our job description, I feel tends to grow more and more as not only the days go on, but the years go on. I really think they throw that in there just so they can include everything else on that job description that they didn't want to maybe pay for or just include, but we start to see that our role. And it also shows that maybe we don't have a firm understanding as an organization what goes into a SimTech role. Really, what is it that we're doing every single day? Now, we troubleshoot IT, we troubleshoot AV and mannequin issues, we order supplies, stock carts, clean rooms, run simulations, coordinate simulation planning with educators, process reports, fill in as actors, fabricate, and of course, become do-it-yourselfers. Oh, and I forgot the most important thing. We do run simulation scenarios. And I'm just skimming the list of what our jobs entail. We all know that there is so much more that we do in the course of our day. But despite the added value we bring to the community, there are some of you that will experience roadblocks during the course of your career. Often, our community can only focus on the letters after our name, or what college degrees we have, or what our job title is. We can even be excluded in certain activities or responsibilities because some of us lack similar education as our coworkers. Simulation deals with communication and teamwork. We preach those objectives daily, but we can easily forget to apply those principles to our teams as well. I'm often asked about when an organization is starting a simulation center, what should they budget for? One of my first answers is staff. Hiring an experienced simulation tech will not only help ensure your program will grow, but also be successful. Who better to help with equipment purchases, staff hiring, or simulation center layout and design than us? Instead of focusing on our weaknesses, we need to promote our strengths. So as SimTechs, we have many strengths. I don't have enough time to go over every single one of them today, but I kind of wanted to skim and go over a couple which I think really stand out with us. Communication. We all know from working in simulation that communication is key to ensuring a positive learning environment. We need to communicate not only with our coworkers, but also management. And not just for our center, but even organizational leadership. How many of you guys got called into a hot seat where you got to talk to an admin or a vice president because your director's busy or manager's busy and now you have to talk simulation to them? Anyone? With little to no preparation beforehand? It's just like, oh, they need you upstairs. How many of you guys give tours of your simulation centers? All right. So we have to communicate not only to internal tours, but external as well. I've often joked that we need to include tour guides on our resumes. I think that's really like a premier part. If there's a certification in that industry, I really think we should find out what it is and add that little badge of honor to our LinkedIn profiles and our resume. During the tours, we have to describe not only learning objectives, but also practical examples of how simulation is used. And this is often to groups that have no previous experience with simulation. we're entrusted with providing and representing our simulation centers in a positive light. Especially how many of you guys have gone through the accreditation process to get your center accredited? Don't they pull you guys aside and at some point interview you as well during the simulation center operations? We are a very big team player and a very important part of this team. Second is problem solving. Now I think this one's kind of standard. I included it, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about it. So of course this all should be standard on your guys' resumes. Some of your centers can be using equipment differently than based on your learners and objectives. We often find ourselves pushing what the equipment can do versus what it was designed to do. How many of you guys have, oh, we have vendors in here, never mind. We can't ask that question. Just kidding. Just kidding. With that, we push what it can do. With that, we have to not only solve problems with technical issues, but also designing and increasing realism and efficiency in our simulation centers. How many of you guys participated in the hackathon last year? A couple? Anybody here from the winning team? How many of you guys heard about the hackathon? I know you guys are a lot of first-time users. All right, perfect. Now, for that, we accomplished a lot in just one day. Now, we had some 3D printers, we had some electronics, but just one day they were able to put together a product and one team won the competition. Now, who better to design or improve new products than this group right here in the room? And anybody watching on video as well, right? We're the end users. We're using this stuff every single day. We know what works. We hear about it in every other industry. The end users offering that suggestions or improvements. A lot of you guys are taking more hands-on classes with not only CAD design, but 3D printing, fabricating. We're seeing more and more talks. I think there's a talk at this conference for just going over microcontrollers and programming. That stuff for me was scary. I mean, every time I hear programming, I'm like, no. I did not want to touch it. I did some Python and Java in college, and I did not like it at all. But then once you start, for me, the learning part is not just reading a textbook. It was when I started coming across, different problems or challenges that, okay, if I had this board, if I had this programming, now I can apply a real-world solution to a problem. I want to be able to figure out what to do. And when I have an objective I need to meet, it's a lot easier to learn those processes where we're trying to get to that end of the end of the tunnel, that light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, we have the willingness to learn. This skills goes right into what we do. All of us here are in a constant state of learning. We get new equipment. We have a new department that's included that needs to use simulation. We are tasked with improving our simulation center operations. And of course, we never stop learning. The fact that you guys are all here right now is a testament to that. We are all here, not only because it's a great conference and there's a baseball game, but we all want to learn. These are great courses that are being taught by us, by this community, and we really want to improve what we're doing, right? All right. And of course, I think we saw a little bit of this morning, the ability to work under pressure. Now, I enjoy working on the ambulance, the ER, because I really did not know what I was going to be dealing with every shift. Like I said, it's shooting, stabbing, cardiac arrest, or just transporting patients. The same can be said about being a sim tech. We are constantly being challenged with not only incorporating new technology, but writing new scenarios, or interacting with learners with all different types of backgrounds. Being able to adapt to new challenges quickly and work in a high-stress environment is something that we all do. How many of you have been in the hot seat for a high-stakes scenario and everything stops working 5 minutes before? All right. Okay, I see some people do not want to raise their hand. All right, I have been there many times. So now, I hope no one raises their hand for this part, but how many of you guys stormed off, kicked the computer over, threw the mannequin on the floor, and just took off for the day? How many wanted to do that? Yes. But we don't do that, right? We go through, we see the challenge, we accomplish it, and we ensure that we have a simulation center that goes right. Once you get that experience, most of the times when there's an issue, you won't even have to alert other people that there's a problem. You see the problem, and we're going, okay, I know what I need to do to fix this. Oh yeah, just give me a minute. We have to go turn the light on or something, We know how to play it off pretty good. And that's what I think is very important from what we do. Now, I've come across many different job descriptions, and I've helped write the job descriptions. And it's also very interesting to see what goes into these. A bachelor's degree, advanced certification in AV, IT, or healthcare, minimum of 2 to 5 years experience, CHSE or CHSOS, prior experience in operations, patient simulator repair certification. Oh yeah, the position is considered entry level, and so is the pay. How many of you guys have come across that before? All right. So, like I said, this is a highly debated topic with no definite right answer. There are many factors that what goes into a SimTech's role will be at a specific organization. So the question has to be asked. The job descriptions usually cover all the required skills for a SimTech position, but more often than not, the pay is not on the level that it should be, right? We all think we should be getting more, and we should be. There's a lot of these job descriptions. I came across one recently that I had to provide some very constructive feedback to the organization, where I told them I don't know anybody in the industry or this community that can meet that job. And that's where I think educating the community about what really goes into this, and also helping organizations write job descriptions. Now, if you're writing one specifically for a person, like my first job, they wrote specifically for me to join to move from the ER up to education. But when we're out there applying, we can see these job descriptions, and for a lot of the times, it's a little overwhelming. I can't apply to it. I have the experience. I even told the organization I have a good amount of experience, but I wouldn't even qualify for that position. So that's where I think as a community, we need to help educate other people, not just in this community, but also the HRs, the people writing these positions, to make sure that we can come into and we can provide that experience for them. So let's talk a little bit about what goes into that type of SimTech background. We as SimTechs are truly multi-rolled or jack of all trades. To accomplish our daily work, we have to master several different backgrounds. Like I said, AV, IT, healthcare, operations, business. Now, those backgrounds normally would take several years in each to gain some significant experience. Think of it this way. If I'm working in a hospital, if I needed help with a computer issue, I would reach out to IT, right? Now, if they come quickly, that's a different story. But I would reach out to them. But how many of you guys work at an organization where they have a separate wireless team? So not only is it an IT issue, but if I need a wireless, they send an entirely new team out there to take care of you. And that's just the IT related. If I needed AV help, same process. Now that type of workflow, each department handling their own specific issues where they have the staff and that training for to deal with is not uncommon, regardless if it's a hospital, medical school, or university. For simulation centers, who is the one usually answering the call regardless of the issue? SimTechs, right? Us, in this room. Now we have grown our position from just running mannequins to being the all-knowing fixer of anything, and of course the do-it-yourselfer, right? Each different background, whether it's IT or AV or healthcare, has recognized training, and some have industry-specific certifications. For many of us, we usually have to quickly adapt an attitude of sink or swim. We don't have the luxury to say, I can't get that to that today, or I don't know how to do it, right? We have to figure it out and get through it. We are forced to quickly learn or risk impacting center operations, or I hope not though, but it could happen, or even worse, impact our job. Some of us are fortunate to work at a center that can employ multiple staff members to help with the workload. For some of us, we are a one-person show. I started that way. My first position in my office was office/sim center /storage room / used for training, anything goes, lunchroom for other education members. So some of us have that opportunity to have other help, but in some cases we all start off doing a one-man show or a one-person show. So this brings up an important question. Where can we go from here? Being a part of this community has provided us with the opportunity to help shape its direction. As more simulation programs open their doors, the need to staff with simulation techs will continue to grow. With our skill set, there are countless opportunities to make an impact in, from job advancement to new positions such as healthcare consultant, operations manager, or sales representative. As simulation centers integrate more cutting-edge technologies such as 3D printers and VR and AR headsets, SimTechs are in a position to create, design, and expand how these technologies will be used. I have already seen this community create new skill trainers, replacement parts, and software to improve daily operations. Over the last several years, I've been excited at the professional growth in our community. We have our first certification specifically for SimTechs and specialists, the Certified Healthcare Simulation Operations Specialist. I'm sorry, that takes a long time to say. Through SSH. There have been standards completed with several organizations such as INASCO and SSIH. There are several annual conferences dedicated to SimTechs in the simulation community. Here we are now at SimGHOSTS with over 200 attendees. Largest one, right, Lance? Largest one. That says something right there. And the attendance continues to grow each year. We also now have certificates and associate's degrees offered at the college level to help some of those programs, and those are being taught by even members of this group. We are now even seeing high school programs adding simulation centers to the campuses. So even now, high school students can get an early start for healthcare early on. And of course, I'm also seeing more and more regional groups starting up with the goal of sharing information and connecting with others in the community. The fact is, we're not going anywhere. We are definitely here to stay. There are a couple of things that I want to challenge this group with in closing. First, I challenge you guys to be active. I want to see you guys get more involved on social media. Do more posts, videos, blogs, do-it-yourself videos. We see a lot of them now, but there's so many in this group. Some of you guys are brand new to simulation. Some of you guys have been doing this for years. What good is all that information? I always said this in the Sim Center. What good is all that information if we just keep it to ourselves? We need to share it with others. Empower this group. And again, this conference is testament to that by seeing others teaching new people how to get started in simulation, operations, do-it-yourself, moulage, CAD design, you name it. So get active, write blogs, publish do-it-yourself videos, and take the opportunity to present at local and national conferences. Second, I want you guys to get certified. With the creation of the CHS certification, we now have our own industry-related certification. Help the CHSOS grow by pursuing it. If you're not sure what to study or how to prepare, I believe there are some videos on YouTube that cover that CHSOS exam. That was a hint. You might see a familiar face on those videos. I don't get any money if you guys watch them, so don't worry. You can just bump up my views, though. That'll help. If you already have your certification, help others by teaching courses or mentoring others that want to take that certification. And last, I want you to challenge yourselves. Push yourself into unfamiliar territory. If you want to learn new skills, do it. We will only continue to grow ourselves if we continue to develop our profession and never stop learning. Do not ever sell yourself short. So, in closing, always remember, it's not where we come from, but where we are going. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, David. Great. I guess the talk is related to all of us. So we will have some Q&A, like you have push-to-talk microphones in front of you. Just press that button, hold it, and ask your questions and release it. And David is here to answer your question.
Remember that point of being active? I'm just kidding.
David, we've got a lot of first-timers here. What's your advice to them? I'm assuming that some of them being first-timers will be new to the industry. So how to sort of hit the ground running and pick up some quick skills and quick knowledge to be able to fulfill their roles.
Yeah, for first-timers, there's a fair amount of hands. I recommend, the way I did it was went out there and toured simulation centers. If you're in a position where you have local centers that you can tour, go out there and connect with the community. There are Facebook groups, there are LinkedIn's, there's the SimGHOSTS community you can join as well. There's a lot of, the information is out there. You may have to, go a little bit to find it, but also connect. Here's an important part of this conference is networking. Go talk to people you don't know. Introduce yourselves to others. Be able to stop by, if you have questions from your vendors, go talk to them. This is a great opportunity to get that hands-on. There's books out there that are published, there are some great YouTube videos, but you're going to have to just pursue a little bit of that knowledge out there to help get over that hump. And believe me, no matter what program you come from or what your background is, somebody's been in your shoes before. And odds are someone in this room has been in your shoes. So we could definitely help you guys move along and get past that first step.
Thank you.
Any other questions for
Where can we find
David?
a copy of the video where it's just a bed request?
Oh, the copy of videos for David?
No, the video that you mentioned about a sim tech turning over a room.
Oh, it's on Facebook. I did not get permission from that guy, but there is the Simulation Technicians Network on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
So if you search it, you'll find that little video, that snippet. Those forums are really great. It's more geared towards this community and just people posting like, what can I do for job descriptions? I have this issue. There's a lot of do-it-yourself fixing. It's a great place to get active on.
Any other question? Go ahead. Would you press that button in front of you and just hold it and ask your question, please?
When you guys are sitting down and going over the job titles, has there been any thought to like tiering for us, like SimTech 1, 2, and 3? Because like for myself, I work in a small college. We're the only one that I know of in Arkansas that has a sim center that's dedicated, but what we do is not like what they do here. So the scope of practice is totally different, but I don't want to stay there forever. I want to be a director someday, but is there going to be a tier level, like entry level, level 1, this is what you need to know, but then you build and you build and build. Has there been any thought to that?
Yeah, so for the CHS certification, there is talk about branching out into more defined certifications. So like in advanced, the CHSE already has that, but making certifications go with the levels, maybe one related to IT, one related to AV, and one related to healthcare. Now for organization-wise, I face that same problem at mine, where there is no comparable job description. And so how do you get yourself on a number, like a pay scale that can grow with time, so you're not maxed out day one when you come in there? The best advice I can give you is it's really difficult to reinvent the wheel with HR or add these positions in, is to find a pay scale or at least a title that's similar. Like in my first position, it was clinical simulation specialist, but we found a learning specialist in IT that they matched that job description on the basic requirements with that one, and the pay scale was substantially higher than a simulation specialist where when they go out and look locally, they're going to find, unfortunately, very low pay, and that's what they're going to go with. So try to find an HR job description that's somewhat closely to what you can do, and then just work on just changing that title to grow.
Thank you. Any other questions before? No? David has some great videos that earlier I mentioned. Was there any? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm from South Africa, so it's a little bit different there. I just wanted to check from the academic side of things, our department is a fairly academic department, and with regards to simulation and training and education based, there has not been a very strong link between the academic side of teaching and academics and the components of simulation training and the benefits it can get there in South Africa specifically. I know there's a lot of research done on it. But with regards to the technicians post, is there like a sort of a bridge connection between learning the educational side of things and the technician's part, the hands-on?
I really believe so. I was very fortunate when I got started. I got sent to the Mayo Clinic to do my debriefing course. Even though I'm not a primary debriefer, just having that basic understanding of what goes on in debriefing, that also applies to the CHS certification. There are going to be other areas that are not typically what's in a day-to-day operation, but we should know what's going on in those areas. We need to really understand, I like to say, understand every role that goes on. Now, we're not going to do the role itself, but I would like to know what my educators are doing. I would like to know what my manager and directors are doing, their responsibilities, and the same thing with even having to step up front to check people in at the Sim Center. You know, being able to understand the full scope of the operations will make the Sim Tech stronger. It will help them grow professionally, and it will also open up doors for them to go to further advancement in their careers.
All right, thank you to David.